So I got a story time from an 18-year-old Burbie. This Burbie has a Pickme for a mother, and that mother has a Pest who needs to nest and rest. She says, after 11 years, I'm sick AF of helping Mother Dearest raise her man baby boyfriend. Help. She says, Hi, Burb. I thought about typing this out to you many times, but got too scared of my Pickme mother finding out somehow and tearing my head off saying how I'm lying about her man. When I was 7, my mother moved in with her boyfriend of 6 months. Growing up, he always pissed me off, and I thought he was rude to me, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. However, I've been keeping a diary this year, and I've come to realize what it is. He's an utter piece of holy cow, where do I start? Sorry if this sounds jumbled. I'm just pouring my heart out. Sorry it's so long. I guess I should start off this morning with the straw which broke the camel's back. The past few months, Dustin has been leaving his mayo covered knife in the sink. Since I've been really sick and at home a lot this year, more about that later, he's been expecting me to wash it with my lunch dishes. This doesn't seem to be a big deal, right? So why don't I just wash it? I think it's the principle of it. He knows how sick I've been and still expects me to clean up after him. I messaged pics to his dummy, my mother, and she said she'd make sure it's washed before I get up. She didn't say she'll talk to him. She said she'd wash it. She's always babying him, so it didn't surprise me that she did. She didn't talk to him about it at all. When I brought it up with her again, she gave me her ever present excuse. He's just a man excuse. Of course, since I feel pressured into washing it because otherwise he acts really rude to me, I wash it. Since this has been left unchecked, he's been adding more and more dirty dishes to the sink for me to wake up to and wash. I once again brought it up with mother, and she laughed it off as, haha, it's just a thing now, I guess. Well, this morning it once again evolved. It wasn't just his morning dishes and that ever present mayo knife. It was now an entire sink full of dirty, greasy dishes from his dinner last night. I felt like I was going insane because no one cared because it's just a knife, just wash it. But of course, when you let a dusty off a leash, he'll go wild, as I found out this morning. I've talked about it with my grandma because she's the only one in the family that sees Dustin as he really is and calls him on his BS. She's the only one in the family I can talk to when Dustin is mean to me or straight up disrespectful, like expecting me to be his maid and then treating me like trash in return. She had a provider man, and when she tries to expose mom to how much of a bum Dustin is, mom will completely defend her mans until the cows come home instead of hearing her mother out. Not only is my mother completely okay with her bummy boyfriend treating me like his maid and being rude to me in general, she is okay with him continuously pushing off the wedding. It's been 11 years now since that cheap shut up ring was placed on her finger, yet she still sticks around no matter how he treats us. Every time she comes home, I can't help to think, my gosh, you're the dog that keeps coming back to its own vomit. She too keeps making excuses for him. We've been doing up the house, so we can't afford it. You have no business doing up a man who can't commit to your house, sis. Or we'll get around to it. Neither of us is going anywhere. That excuse really pisses me off. Because, yes, he is going places. He goes on expensive, lavish holidays abroad every year, costing tens of thousands of dollars, plus fancy new gear for his hobbies. He drops bank on going on these fancy holidays at fancy resorts with the boys, and yet he doesn't have enough money to marry you. Like, if he wanted to, he would. My grandma is always telling mother he's never gonna. I know she's right. He's found a way to acquire a wife appliance on a forever fiance budget. So why would he tie the knot? Plus, what if a woman that was somehow even more of a pick me and somehow even more tolerable of his came along? He wouldn't be as easily able to jump ship. Whenever Dustin yells at me or generally treats me like she always pulls the he's just a man excuse. He also goes on work trips around every 6 months too. And one time when he came back, he laughed with her about how he and his friend got a lap dance. And she laughed too because she's a cool girl who understands that men have needs. Unlike me and my boring high maintenance grandma, we just don't get it. It amazes me the level of disrespect for herself and me she has that she keeps this horrid man around and endlessly follows him around like a lost puppy despite his dustiness. Even when I do bring up how he is, it's always excuses. She really thinks she's found herself a catch because he does the grocery shopping once a week. One thing I've picked up on as of late is that whatever I put on the list that he doesn't eat, because he wouldn't want his little scheme affecting him, of course, he always buys the wrong thing on purpose, finds some piss poor excuse, and mother will defend him in his weaponized incompetence. I think this is malicious compliance right here, not weaponized incompetence, because he's not incompetent. She'll say, because at least he tried. Like one time he got soy milk instead of oat milk, even though I have a bad soy intolerance. When I put green apples on the list, he made sure to get the most busted up and bruised one, purposely buying the wrong flavor of yogurt or snack which had been thrown out. I'm sorry, yeah, or snack which had to be thrown out. Of course, this didn't happen all at once, and these are only the most notable examples. He only does it to like one item I wrote on the list each week. So it's not enough for mom to notice, and only I notice. So I think I'm going crazy. Or he'll forget an item I swore I put on the list. Or when I put sliced ham on the list, he lied and told me they hadn't had that kind at the supermarket in weeks. Seriously, dude? A huge supermarket didn't have something as simple as sliced ham in either the deli or refrigerated section in weeks. So now on Sundays, mother and I have to do a separate grocery shop to get the foods I can eat. Even if I were to point out the ridiculousness to her, she'd probably say something like, well, it's hard for him with all your allergies. And that would be the end of it. I feel like he hates me. And sometimes I feel like she does too. I have a chronic health condition and he's always using it against me. And mother will excuse it with at least he tried. Like the other day he made something with breadcrumbs on it, even though I have a bad gluten intolerance and have been having the worst flare up since and in such pain while having to deal with him and his sink full of dirty dishes. I do understand I have a limited amount of foods I can eat because of my autism and health condition, but it's exhausting. I have been to the ER countless times because of extreme flare ups this year, and I'm just sick of the flare ups at this point. So it would be nice if he at least helped. Not only that, but thousands of dollars in medical bills, which my grandma has helped to pay for. What really pissed me off, though, is when I was fresh out of surgery earlier this year. He fell down the back stairs. First responders came and did an assessment on him. Turns out he was dehydrated. Yeah, a grown man that can't self regulate. He had to go to the hospital for the night, and mom wanted to go with him. I reminded her I just had surgery like 2 days ago, and she said she'd be going to my grandma's house, and then she could look. I'm sorry, I'd be going to my grandma's house so then she could look out for me. Mind you, my grandma's house has huge concrete stairs out front, and I was in no condition to walk up them since what I had done was no minor surgery. I had to fake a massive flare up to convince her not to drop me off there and go to the hospital with Dustin. She was crying and was like, I want to go to the hospital with him. It's so hard to choose between both my loved ones sick. Like, how is that even a choice? Going to the hospital with your bum who can't even drink enough water while he's hanging out with the boys, or your daughter who's just had surgery. Moreover, because when he fell down the stairs, she tried to pull him up. She tore a ligament in her hip. Even though it was technically his fault, he still made her pay for a physio. And because she worked so much, she didn't even have time to keep going. So she even now still has hip pains. So she's in financial straits and her physical health is getting impacted. He's an absolute pest that wants to nest and rest. Mother is out working 50 hours plus a week trying to pay off medical bills while he comes home at midday from his job and sits on his butt for the most part. The other day, he literally came home at noon and did nothing. And then mother came home after a 10-hour day and had to go to the supermarket and cook dinner. Even though he knows she is struggling for money and burning herself out, doing so much overtime to try to make ends meet. He still makes her go halfsies on all the bills, including the grocery bill, even though he's like a child at the supermarket and only puts what he wants in the cart. Mother out earns him by a lot and works crazy hours and tells him he should find another job because he isn't paying enough. He constantly complains about how he can't find another job. I feel like he isn't trying on purpose, so he doesn't have to get off his butt and find a job where he can't mooch around at home after only like 5 hours of work. It was his birthday the other day, and she went to so much effort for him and even got him a custom birthday cake, even though he didn't do the same for her earlier in the year when she had a milestone birthday, and even had to do all the party planning herself. And while at the restaurant, mother was talking about how hard she's had to work lately. He kept interrupting her with how hard he's been supposedly working. We always have to hear how hard his day is at work. But when I got a promotion at work recently, he completely brushed it off. Anyways, when I heard about the 4B movement through your videos this year, I knew it was my highest calling. I've never wanted kids, never wanted to live with an XY bum ever again, and I think I might be asexual. I've gone as far as to stop shaving, stop using shampoo. Don't worry, I still rinse my hair with water. Don't think I've completely let myself go, unlike Dustin over here, and stop wearing makeup. For the first time in my life, I feel like myself. Mom isn't too impressed, but here we are. I'm grown and earned my rite of passage to live my own on my own accord. But what do you expect? She's a pick me. Of course, she's a suck up for patriarchal beauty standards. Now that I'm not focused on doing beauty labor, I feel my focus has shifted to what is more important. My journey to healing from my trauma and becoming a lawyer. I think every woman would benefit from going all hairy and feral and decentering men. LOL. My voting registry arrived in the mail the other day, aka my ticket to vote blue in the next election. I don't know, Burb. Maybe I'm just being too harsh on this lunatic dust storm, and we can resolve our differences. Frankly, I have a hard time feeling empathy for my mother's current situation with having to work so much with an injury and then having to deal with his stroppiness at home because she brought the 50-50 struggle of onto herself. I know that sounds harsh. I'm sorry. Even her own mother has clocked her as being one of those women that can't live without a man. Any man will do. Even after all this, she is still trying to get me to call him dad. I never will. I hate the word dad because my real father was every type of abusive to me under the sun and is now estranged. I kind of feel like she has a taste for bummy men, maybe. I still love her though. The good news for me, however, is that in a couple of months, I'm moving halfway across the country to start university, meaning for the most part, I can go no contact with Dustin except when I need to come home for the holidays. I'm also working on what diet doesn't give me flare ups and losing weight. Mother is jealous because as a pick me, she has to be even more small and dainty than me. Perhaps you can even use this as content for the videos I'm addicted to on YouTube. Keep up the good work, by the way. I'm so glad that she's able to get away in a couple of months and all she has to do is buy. So I asked her about the shampoo part, and she responds with, I can't use normal shampoos because the chemicals irritate my scalp. Have my whole life. Now I use apple cider vinegar diluted with water or baking soda. No irritation. It's just what works for me. I have systemic inflammation as part of my illness, which is why I have a laundry list of allergies. She says, I forgot to add, she may not be able to help me financially while at university long term because when Dustin retires, she will probably need to help him financially, like he hasn't been frittering money on hobbies while she's been working her butt off. Like how is that a choice? Helping her leech or her disabled child? You're right, though. I need to stop washing his dishes because then he thinks he can get away with it. He gets grumpy when I don't, though. He expects me to be his maid. I guess I'm just trying to keep the peace. Mother Dearest never said anything about him leaving a whole sink of dirty dishes for me when she came home last night. She doesn't care that he walks over all over the both of us. For the most part, I just hide in my room from them. I don't want to say their exact ages for fear of exposing my identity, but Dustin is around 60 and Mother Dearest is around 50. Big age gap, I know. And so Mother Dearest sounds like she is going to continue to be a pick me. And what I was telling her is, she's been in this situation, as in the OP that wrote this, the Burbie. She's been in this situation for 11 years and she has all kind of flare ups and autoimmune issues or whatever. And it seems like maybe if she does go away to college, it'll help her health improve because maybe the trauma of having a deadbeat daddy and now a parasite bum in her household right now, maybe that is helping to exacerbate her diseases. Maybe her body and mind can heal once she goes off to school and she's able to get away from her pick me mama and her mama's pest of a boyfriend. Anyways, let me know what you think about all of this. I know it's been a lot and I wanted to go ahead and read this whole thing. It's a lot. So don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you made it this far and you're not yet following me, go ahead and smash the follow button.